you up out of bed in the morning? Like, what is something that you're willing to set your alarm for? What's something that drives you? Because I was thinking about my journey over the last couple of years. And like I had no intention of being an entrepreneur. In fact, my picture of what an entrepreneur was definitely not anything that looked or acted like I did. Which you may look back at my choices and things that I've done and be like, Tammy, that's the path you were on. Okay, granted, again, looking back, you see things a lot clearer. And why am I sharing this? I'm sharing this because there's so many times that God highlights our path to us and we're not aware of the direction we're going. We're not aware of what's happening around us, what He's orchestrating underneath it all. And we just may not be ready to embrace it yet. And so I was looking at my path, I was looking at my journey, and I was probably about a year and a half ago that I actually embraced the fact that I am an entrepreneur, that I have built a thing. It's typically, that's what I was like, yeah, I'm doing a thing. I've built a business. I've built a life. I've built a path, a calling, I've built this journey that I'm on one step at a time, not knowing where this would lead. If I knew 4.5 years ago when I started my business that this is where it would go, I don't know if like I would have done something to sabotage it. I would have done something if I was like, okay, Tammy, not only are you going to do one podcast a week, but and in my mind, podcasts were like, that's for those who love to speak, who are good at speaking, who have a platform. Those are for people who have like professionals do podcasts. Why would I do a podcast? And I don't have anything to say. So if you would have said 4 years ago that you're not only doing one podcast a week, but you're going to do two because one, you're going to love it. Two, because people love it as well, because you're inspiring others, you're helping others get past their own fears, you're helping others step into who they're called to be. I would have said, no way. I'm a behind the scenes kind of gal. I like to make things happen. I'm a doer. And over the last couple of years, I've really stepped into this identity of an entrepreneur, but even more so, a purpose aligned business owner and living this purpose aligned life where I get to set boundaries. I get to go on trips. I get to spend time with my kids, all because I was willing to take one step after another, because I was willing to go when I didn't know the path that I needed to go on, when I was just taking the step by step that God was leading me, when I was willing to push past my comfort and get uncomfortable and try a thing. And the easy route would have been for me to get my license here in Oklahoma for therapy and go that direction, knowing that the last couple of years, something has been weighing on my heart that that's not the right direction, that's where I was supposed to go. So many things. Like I look back at my life, how many things that I've done one thing and then I shifted. I even in school, and I graduated from school in England, and so I never went on a college tour. I never really, it's like whoever sent me brochures, sure, let's look at that. And it's not one area that my parents even really helped with. And so I ended up going to Baylor, and I loved it there. But after 2 years, I knew deep in my knower that I needed a shift. And I went to Auburn, be closer to my family, and at the time, I looked at the steps that I would take. And if I would have started at Auburn, there's several things that I would not have done. There's several growth that path to growth, those steps of getting uncomfortable, trying something new that I wouldn't have done. And I did it out of need because I walked into Baylor, walked into orientation, and realized I didn't fit in. That's not my people. That's not, I was not comfortable there. And it's, I'm a shy girl who came from England. And when I was asked if London was north of the Rio Grande, I was like, oh, okay, that's all right. Yes, I would say, sure, I think on the longitude and latitude, it's north. Um, but anyway, my purpose is my reason for sharing this is that I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing. I was taking steps and making decisions based on what was presented in front of me, what options I had. How many times have you taken action on things that are just presented right in front of you? I remember sharing with my good friend Laura. I remember sharing um, years ago that something in my heart was stirring about speaking on stage, and I said, "But Laura, that freaks me out. I have no desire to speak on stage." And she's like, "Well, if God called you to it, it's gonna happen, honey." Like she's like, "It's gonna just," and saying it out loud, kind of it brought some legs to it, and sharing this with her and speaking what was in my heart was very freeing. Luckily, it was still years before I started speaking because I wasn't ready. I didn't have I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't even know I didn't even have the message at that point. But that's okay. Because as we are stepping into who we're called to be, we don't see all of the path. We don't see all of the steps. We sometimes we don't even see two steps ahead of us. We only see one. Sometimes even the one is blurry. We just kind of like reluctantly take an action. And I want to encourage you to look and consider what steps that you need to take right now. I have the privilege of helping Christian women, helping Christian moms find their purpose aligned life. And we do this whether they realize it or not when they start working with me is through a purpose aligned business, through deciding like what's on your heart. And I realize how important it is that Christian women are entrepreneurs, that how it not only is it important that we do it, but God's put a lot of things on our hearts. And one of the things is having something of our own. And I say that loosely because I really don't believe it's mine. Um, I know that God's called me to it. He built it for me. I get to take the action, but he gets to orchestrate the results. The outcome is his, which really helps when you don't know what you're doing and so you don't know if you're going to do it right or not, because then it's like, well, I just need to take the action. And so I just want to encourage you to think about things today. I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about what is in your heart? What is in the heart of hearts? What's deep in your knower that you need to share? If I didn't take that brave step when there was like to tell you that there was no possibility, that there was no on the horizon, there was no, um, speaking on stage was not a speaking in public was not something that I even wanted at the time, but I felt that I needed to share it. And it was deep in my knower, deep in my heart of hearts. And I know that it was the Holy Spirit starting to prepare me. I've mentioned before how long it takes, that I'm pretty stubborn, and it takes a while, which is why this was years before it actually happened. What's in your heart of hearts? What brave thing do you need to say out loud? What brave thing do you need to admit to yourself and then maybe to a trusted friend, a someone who won't dim your dream or even say, "Oh yeah, you're right. That is crazy. That's not anything that I see you doing." Doesn't matter whether we see it or not. And this is why it's important to share, to protect who you share it with, because we want people who are like, and how is that going to look? How is that going to be possible? Like, that's exciting. Now what are you going to do with this information? We want people who are encouraged and don't give advice. We want someone who's just going to let you sit with it and maybe even pray about it with you. But what has God been stirring in your heart? what has he been, what has the Holy Spirit been like just dwelling in and just giving you highlights? And now I look back, like I look at my life and the things that I've done, the things that I've enjoyed, and like it is clear that I've had an entrepreneurial spirit my whole life, from like pretending like I'm, playing make believe mailroom, but and make believe shop and make believe cruise ship and all these things that my sister and I, our beds, like we turn them into so many different things. Like the imagination, which is really sad. This is okay. I'm not going to go on this tangent, but it's really sad kids today who don't get that experience. I mean, like our beds. I remember that we would push our beds, our twin beds together, so we could have a bigger cruise ship, and different things. The imagination. I look at the courses that I took. Like I was in business school for like I started in education, then I went into computer science, and then I like settled in somewhere in the middle. And it was I took a lot of business classes. I got an MBA. I even did MLM for a little while with a crafting company because I loved teaching. I love teaching, which is also so funny to me that 'cause I knew I was going to be a teacher. That's what I was going to go to college for. I got to college and realized I don't want to teach. Well, the key is I didn't want to teach young kids. I wanted to teach adults, and I didn't know that until the full circle moment. Again, our purpose and calling is not hidden from us. It's revealed in the times that we need it when we're ready to take action. Take action, friend. Even if that one action is to share what's on your heart. Get it going. Give breath to it. Give life to it. Say it out loud and allow things around you to help. Because when I told my friend that I wanted to speak, when she didn't say, "You're like Tammy, you hate speaking in front of people. Why would you even think that? Like that's silly." No, she said, "Well, I wonder what God's going to do with it." Find your person who's going to ask you, "Okay, so what's God going to do with this?" And it's so crazy because even people I didn't have the conversation with, God put people in my path to help me on this path, to help me on this journey, to help me get from point A to point B to point D, back to point C to point F. Like it's been a crazy journey, but it's not one I've been alone on. And that's the part that I wanted to share is that when God's put something on your heart, He's not expecting you to do it on your own. He's not expecting you to lone wolf it and to figure everything out on your own. Let me tell you that again. Let me share because I look at where I am now and how many coaches, how many teachers, how many encouragers I've had on my journey, and I could not have done it without them. I hired a voice coach. Um, my good friend now. She's a friend, and I highly suggest her. But Tracy Goodwin is. I hired a voice coach, and I recorded. I want to say like 5 to 10 podcasts that were never to see the light of day because I was trying and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what my voice should have sounded like. I had all these masks. This is her. She's not the normal voice coach. She's done that, but her psychology of the voice is so different. And I hired her to help me find my voice. And after the first session, I was able to record my first podcast that was published. I hired someone to help me figure out what a podcast was and how to do it because in my mind that was for professionals and I was not a professional. I hired a business coach who helped me identify like how to build a business online and all of these things that I learned and that I've been able to teach. Like now I get to teach people how to coach. I also help people who have a business grow their business. I help them actually align it with their purpose and their calling because we get so focused on the doing that we forgot who we're being, that we forgot to ask, wait, we're trying all the things that that the world says we should do. But then when God has wired you a certain way, He's put different gifts in your heart and a different calling on your heart. So we identify that. And then once they figure out what their purpose aligned business is, it soars, it grows, and it allows them to have freedom and to be more generous and to um, quit their corporate jobs and start their own business. It allows them to have a side gig that they may love their corporate job, but then they want something of their own, something their kids can see them build. We don't have to do this on our own. And in fact, we really can't. It will take us too long. But it's important that we invest in ourselves. We invest in that small dream that God's place, that the Holy Spirit is whispering into our soul. And investing is in time, in energy, in finances, in trust. It's it's investing in ourselves. So as you look at the small voice and you listen to it and write it down, I encourage you, if you can't say it out loud yet, write it down. You don't have to show anyone. You don't have to have all the details worked out. Again, I'm still working out. Like God's still revealing the next step, like the next step, and then the next step. And it's such an exciting journey now that I understand the purpose of getting uncomfortable is just growth. The purpose of getting uncomfortable is trying something different. And the world says to be comfortable. God says we get to grow. It's through the fire that we turn into golds. And I shared about the gold Buddha a couple of episodes ago about how the gold's deep within us, that we just have to shed these layers of protection. Those layers of protection are stopping this small voice, a small dream to come to light. Don't let it stop anymore. Don't let it. Like, take a bold stand. Be bold and share it and see what happens. You don't have to figure it all out right now. But taking a stand and going after it and telling yourself, because our most precious resource is our time. It's our time, it's our energy, it's our focus. Everyone is vying for our focus right now. Everyone. I mean, I was going to record this, and for 10 minutes I sat on solitaire and it's like, Tammy, what are you doing? You have a message and you're being distracted. Don't be distracted by the things of this world. Listen to that voice within you, because I guarantee that when you start to give like words and when you start to explore what's possible, all of the things that you've done in your life, the highlights that God's left you, you're going to start seeing them instead of like a light gray. Have you seen those like light gray highlighters? It's like almost what's the point, because it barely shows from the paper, right? It's pretty, sure. I guess and then it's like, I have one that's like a light grayish purple too, which is, again, it's pretty. But as I'm skimming, like I don't notice it. But the yellow and the orange and the bright pink, those I notice. What has God been highlighting to you? That's bright orange and bright yellow and bright pink in your life. Like all those different themes. It starts with knowing what's deep in your heart. So that's my challenge for you today. And for your journal question, this is what I want you to just explore. What dream is in my heart? What is this? And it might not even, like, I didn't even think of it as a dream. I thought of it more as as a heck no, no way. Like, why is this here? It was not something like, oh, I want to do in the future. It was, this is what I feel like God's calling me to, and I don't know why. I don't know how. In the words of like Moses, it's like, well, I don't have good speech. Like, why? Like, I want to be behind the scenes. Let me be the doer. Let me help someone else grow. And what's cool about this is when I asked him that as well, is I do get to help other people grow, and I get to grow my own. So I help Christian moms create and launch, design and live their purpose aligned business and life. How exciting is it when you start to really see who God created you to be? when you can step in and you can start showing your kids what it looks like to do something uncomfortable and to succeed. When you start to have that freedom of, I don't have to punch a clock. I get to um, I get to go the direction that God's wants me to, that He's sending me, and you do too. Now you don't have to quit your day job. You don't have to move to Bali, although sometimes it might be fun. One of these days I am going to go to Bali. Kyle's promised to take me to Bali, and yeah, one day I can't wait. And I'm going to do an episode from Bali when it is. I'm going to put that out there in the world, and it's going to be so cool. It's okay to have dreams. It's okay to have this voice in your soul that's telling you that something's coming that you're not ready for, but it's going to be magnificent, that it's going to be challenging and exhilarating and freeing all at the same time, that you're not going to know every step, but you know who holds the steps. And so we can trust that there's a plan, that there's a purpose, that there's a direction that you get to go in. So here's my ask. So the journal question, take some time. And what is that voice calling to you? Again, you may not understand it. You don't have to. But you need to listen to it. You need to sit with it. You need to speak it out loud or write it. You need to share it with somebody. And then the next is, if you know of someone who wants a purpose aligned life and business, send this podcast to them. Send my information to them. Like, let's connect. If it's you, reach out. Again, you can take baby steps, small steps, actually, like slow and steady. Like slowing down allows you to speed up so much faster later. Like sometimes taking that step back and who are we being? Who did God create you to be? That'll help your dream grow even faster. So you don't have to figure it all out in the next week. You don't have to step in boldly into anything right away, but you do get to take a few steps. What do you have to lose, and what are you waiting for? Waiting for things to all fall into place? It's not going to fall into place. There's always going to be, I'll do this when. Don't wait until when. Later is a fallacy. Like waiting till later. Well, your later box, is there anywhere on your calendar that has later on it? Like that's not a schedule time. My another coach and I, who we work together a lot, we created a later box on Fridays. So I have an hour and a half, a 90-minute block that's later. Because anything that I tell myself that I will do later, I will put it in there and be like, okay, well, now it's later. It's my later box. I have to get it done. The other thing is when that box is full, when I know that I got more than 90 minutes worth of work, it's like, well, I better do that right now because I can't do it later. I don't have time later. So little things, like it's funny, but it reminds me that later is finite. Later is not when, like who knows what's going to happen later. So take the steps today. Don't wait any longer. How much has this been on your heart, and how much is it growing? And I'm telling you, be aware. Once you start putting words to it, once you start giving it a little bit of life and sharing it, it's going to get louder and louder and louder. I told one of my clients that it's going to be harder to not do it than to do it. When you get to that point, like it's time to go all in. She was building her business. She was working on quitting her corporate job and creating her own business. And it was about 2 or 3 months later, she's like, Tammy, she's like, that feeling you told me, I was waiting for it and it happened. And so I already put in my notice. I put in my notice that I'm going to go to part-time instead of full-time. So that way I can work on my God dream, that I can work on this business that God has called me to. And since then, like she now has a business that's thriving and growing. and allowing her to have the freedoms that she's been looking for. So if you know of someone who has the dream to start something, you may not call yourself an entrepreneur or a business owner yet, but there's a business opportunity. And I truly believe that God wants us women, wants us moms to have businesses because He knows that with it we can be overly generous, that we can be overly supportive, and that we can serve in a way that the world needs. The world needs you to listen to your heart, listen to your knower, listen to the small voice deep in your soul that says there's more. You're not weird. You're not eccentric. You're not selfish. You're not prideful. You're not wanting more than you deserve. If it's there, let's explore it. All right, friend. Thank you for letting me share today. Thank you for letting me just tell you my heart about this direction and this path, and how I'm not alone, and how I didn't do it alone, and how you shouldn't do it alone. Thank you for letting me share about the power it gives to just give life and to give voice to this small dream, and that in fact that you don't need to know right away what it means or what it looks like. You just get to start taking action and allowing God to orchestrate things around you to happen. When you start acting, like He does the heavy lifting, He really does. And it's fun and it's life giving. And I love the fact now that I say no to different opportunities that I wouldn't have said no to a while ago, because I'm so clear on what my purpose is. And if it does not align with my purpose aligned life and business, then I know it's not my best yes. I know it's not my way to serve. And I don't feel guilty, because there's so many other ways that I'm serving, ways that I know I can make a difference. Like, one is going to a retreat with the Precious Legacy and being able to share. And I listened to one of the messages, of what did one of the guys learn while they were there, and he mentioned that I help him see some things within him that he didn't see. Like, how cool is that I got to be a part of that? That by asking questions and just listening to him and asking him, I remember saying, "Did you hear what you just said? Say that again and really listen to it." It's already within you. It's already within you. It's not something that you've got to create and discover. Like, it's not something you have to build. It's already within you. So let's find it together. So I have a group coming up. I am super excited about it. I'm still putting like all the details. Like, it's really hard. One of the things that I have trouble with, which is funny to me, because in college I was so good at it. I think it's because it means so much now, and it's for me versus for a project. It's something that's attached to my name, but naming things. Like, I know what we're doing for the next 5 months. I know I've looked at my journey, what has worked, what has helped me create my purpose aligned business, which also led to my purpose aligned life. And like, what are those steps, those milestones? What did I need to know? What am I still working on? And created, okay, if you want to start a business in 5 months, a purpose aligned one, not one that just like, and I don't care even if it's MLM, even if it's like Beachbody, even if it's, like Arbonne or whatever. If you want to start a business, and if you want to start something of your own, and you want to know how it aligns with who God's created you to be, this group is for you. Because that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to look at, who did God create us to be? What is He been highlighting? What are some of the themes of our life? What are some of our strengths and our gifts and our talents? What is He calling us to do? And what is the purpose behind it? We're going to figure that out together. And then we're going to take the step of creating the business, of how to position it, how to announce it, how to start to market it, how to make it a thing that can grow into your freedom, that can grow into your purpose aligned life. Because we start with the end in mind. We start with what's possible. But if we don't look at how God's wired us, at our core motivations, our core strengths, our core avoidances, how those have been playing in our lives. We put down expectations and things that no longer serve us and pick up the life that God's created for us, then we can't actually live a fulfilled, impactful life. So if you're interested in that, like contact me, because the only way in the group, I'm going to be very protective of the group. We're going to do it together. We're going to, like, I will be the one that's teaching this. It's not like just videos. It is me teaching you and going through the process and helping you get clear, find clarity on next steps and what it could mean for you. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me. Email me, Tammy@TammyMarieCoaching.com. Go on to Instagram and DM me and just say, hey, I'm group, like I'm interested. Purpose aligned business. I want to figure out what my calling, my purpose is, and I want to step into it, because discovering it is not enough. Like the true freedom and life comes from living it. So let's do it together. And well, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, wonderful afternoon. I hope you have a wonderful day. And just know how important you are to God. He loves you so much. He's created you because he knew the world needed you, because he needed you, he wanted you. So let's take that and help others see that too. So when we shine our light, then others around us are able to shine theirs. All right. With that, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.